Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and where we support each other on our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you have joined us this morning. Welcome to those of you in the room, and welcome to those of you joining us via our live stream. It is so dark in here. I can barely read my script. It's making me imagine what it was like in here when these were like whale oil and that was all that was lighting this space. Can you imagine? Yeah. Well, before we begin, I have a few announcements to share. My first announcement is, please don't talk to me about the Aurora Borealis. I did not see it, and I'm still a tiny bit bitter about it. So I don't want to see your pictures. Thank you. Those of you who have been around a while know that this is a lifelong dream of mine that keeps being deferred. Next. There will not be a Zoom coffee hour this week because on Tuesday night, all of us who usually lead coffee hour want to attend the silent movie being shown right here in the sanctuary. That's Phantom of the Opera, accompanied by live by our Holbrook Tracker organ. It's going to be amazing, so we hope that those of you who are local will come to that as well. And our online midweek coffee hour will resume next week. There are more great Women's Week concerts and events happening here at the UU, including concerts by Zoe Lewis and Lucy Blue Tremblay. So be sure to check out our website for more details. There's also little orange half sheets on our welcome table downstairs with a lot of those dates listed out for you. And I will email to the folk list as well. We still need a few more bakers for our bake sale on Friday at the Women's Week softball game. We'll be cheering on the Provincetown Peaches and the Butchtown Bells. I see a few of you are in the audience. And we'll be raising money for our little free pantry. So let me know if you can bake or volunteer on Friday morning. Now, this season has brought a tremendous amount of loss to Provincetown and the Outer Cape. So the town agencies and different nonprofits in town are teaming up to offer a few grief groups that are open to everyone. On the next 4 Wednesdays at lunchtime, the AIDS support group will be offering a meditation session followed by a grief circle. And I will be leading the first one this Wednesday over at the AIDS Support Group Drop-In Center. And I will announce the other offerings as they come up. Please reach out if you are struggling. We are here for you. We know this is a really hard time. Next Sunday, after our service, we'll be having a talk soup, which is a potluck lunch. So please bring something yummy to share, bonus if it is actually soup. And we'll be talking about stewardship. It's not too late to sign up for our next new members class, and this is available to those near and far. It will be held on Zoom on Monday evening, October 28th. You can sign up downstairs or on our website, uumh.org. So much happening in October. Thank you, those of you who have been bringing in Halloween candy for our trunk or treat event at Mata Field on the 31st. Anyone who wants to help me turn the back of my car into an underwater scene, please let me know. And in November, we have a lot happening too. On Monday afternoons, our worship host for today, Claire Willis, will be leading a Zoom workshop called Aging Together, Preparing for Living, Preparing for Dying. So look for more details about that in your email inboxes. And please also mark your calendars for Saturday, November 9th for the return of our famous chili cook-off. Like I said, that's a lot of announcements, so there are handouts downstairs. Finally, if you are here in person, we hope that you will stick around for a little while after the service for coffee and conversation downstairs in Acker Bosworth Hall. Let's take a moment now to affirm our Meetinghouse covenant. You can find this printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews. I'm going to say it line by line, and you can repeat each line back to me. Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse.
Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse.
This is our great covenant.
This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek the truth in love.
To seek the truth in love.
And to help one another. Now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you watching from home to light a candle wherever you are. In this way, we can feel connected even while we are apart. This morning, I invite our worship host, Claire, and Mary to light our chalice.
Good morning. We come together with our tired minds and bodies, with our confusion and questions, our uncertainties and our fears. We come together with our hopes, with our pasts and our ideas, our passions and our faith. We come together bringing all of who we are, trusting that in gathering we will be renewed, and that together we can create the world we long for.
Please join me now in singing our opening hymn, which is number 203 in your gray hymnals, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. That's number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. Please rise as you are able.
So
may be seated. I invite you now to join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. During the prayer, or at any time during the service, you are invited to light a silent candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, where there is a journal to record your thoughts and prayers. After the prayer, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123. The words to this song are also printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews. We'll sing it first in English and then in Spanish. Spirit of life, let this moment be enough. Let our breathing in and breathing out tether us to this moment, here and now, so that we do not tumble headlong into the next. May we use this time to slow down, to unclench our bodies, melt deeper into our seats, settle into our center. May we use this time to let go of disappointments and move beyond old words. May we use this time to refill our cup. May we find here what we need to feed our spirits, heal our wounds, express our joy. May we find here what we need to return to the world refreshed and awake. Spirit of life, let this moment, this being here, be enough. Amen.
Our reading this morning is by the Indigenous botanist, professor, and writer Robin Wall Kimmerer from her book called Braiding Sweetgrass. It's funny how the nature of an object, let's say a strawberry or a pair of socks, is so changed by the way it has come into your hands, as a gift or as a commodity. The pair of wool socks that I buy at the store, red and gray striped, are warm and cozy. I might feel grateful for the sheep that made the wool and the worker who ran the knitting machine. I hope so. But I have no inherent obligation to those socks as a commodity, as private property. There is no bond beyond the politely exchanged thank yous with the clerk. I've paid for them, and our reciprocity ended the minute I handed her my money. The exchange ends once parity has been established, an equal exchange. They become my property. I don't write a thank you note to J.C. Penney. But what if those very same socks, red and gray striped, were knitted by my grandmother and given to me as a gift? That changes everything. A gift creates ongoing relationship. I will write a thank you note. I will take good care of them. And if I'm a gracious grandchild, I'll wear them when she visits, even if I don't like them. When it's her birthday, I will surely make her a gift in return. As the scholar and writer Lewis Hyde notes, it is the cardinal difference between a gift and commodity exchange that a gift establishes a feeling bond between two people.
Thank you. Now is the time when we take up a collection for the ongoing support of this Meetinghouse and our shared ministry. As we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, we welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org. At this point, I invite 3 volunteer ushers forward to take up our collection. On and off-site, your offerings will now be gratefully received. Thank you. Tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, so I've been thinking this week about how to honor that. A few years ago, some of us from Racial Justice Provincetown went to a really great anti-racism conference in Barnstable, and there were lots of different workshops that you could take. One was led by a Native American woman who had brought a card game that she invited us to play. Each card had on it an item that we use in our everyday lives, and we broke up into groups of 6, and everyone in our group started with an equal stack of these cards, which we didn't show to the others. Then a timer was set, and the person whose turn it was tried to describe the item on their card to the others as quickly as they could until it was guessed correctly by one of the other 5 people in the group. And then they would move on to the next card, and whoever could get the group to guess the most items in the allotted amount of time won. So if the item was mouthwash, for example, I couldn't use the word mouth or wash, so I would have to say, this is a minty product that we use to get rid of morning breath, and it's not toothpaste, but we swish it around because it's liquid, and hopefully someone in my group would guess mouthwash. Do you want to play for a minute? Okay. I'm thinking of an item that is a great place to relax, and it's like a woven mat that you hang between 2 trees and you can take a nap. I heard hammock. Okay, here's another one. I'm thinking of a product that you really need to use in the summer, that you slather it all over your body to sunscreen. This is fun. Okay. I'm thinking of something that your doctor writes out for you on a little notepad. Oh, you were just right on that one, prescription. Okay, one more. This is an item used in a medical establishment. It has a sort of vial with a needle at the end, and it's used to inject syringe. Oh, you guys are really good at this game. I wish we were playing for real. I sense the competitive spirit in the room. But I bet some of you are wondering, and we were wondering actually in the workshop, why we were playing this game. What was it teaching us about anti-racism? And the workshop leader had us make some guesses actually, and we guessed things like it was a communication exercise helping us to connect when there's a language barrier, and instead of just using the same unknown word over and over, you learn to describe things in a different way. Or maybe it was to show how important word choice is, to be thoughtful when we speak. I thought that maybe it was a traditional Native American game, and that we were experiencing some of that culture by playing by these ancient rules, and it was about the value of experiencing other cultures. But none of us were right. The answer was that we were playing the game, which the leader had invented herself, to learn about Native American contributions to society. Because all of the items on all of the cards were things invented by Native Americans. The syringe, for example, was first invented by native healers who used animal bladders attached to a hollow bird bone, which was filed to a point which could pierce the patient's skin. Many Native American cultures protected their skin from the harsh rays of the sun by mixing sunflower oil, aloe sap, and wallflower into a lotion that was applied to the skin, and it helped to keep the skin hydrated, and it filtered out harmful UV rays, sunscreen. And numerous Native American tribes in the northeastern part of North America kept their breath fresh using mouthwash. Rather than mint, as you might expect, the indigenous people made a rinse using a wildflower called Coptis trifolia, or gold thread. So this was a great game, that taught us about such important contributions and inventions that originated in native cultures and which we never learned about in school. Many of us were taught that the Europeans brought civilization to the Americas and that the people who already lived here were kind of backward or primitive group of people that didn't have any of the modern conveniences or comforts of society that the English and French and Spanish and Dutch came and brought here. We're not taught about the amazing and technical and creative and healing contributions that Europeans learned from, or mostly stole from, Native American societies. Who gets to tell the story, the history, matters. How we teach history matters. And any parent telling you that we can't teach anti-racism to young kids because they will feel bad never played this game. Because it's actually really fun, and there are always age-appropriate lessons about equality and liberation. So this was something that we learned from that game, and I have never forgotten some of the items on those cards. And as a kind of side benefit of having played this game, when I use those products now, I think of them in a slightly different way. Knowing their origins and who invented them and how they've evolved over time, I think of them now as a kind of gift in my life rather than a commodity. When I get into my kayak, for example, which you guys know that I bought from a man in Attleboro because I've told you that story, I am grateful not to him exactly, because I did pay him, but to the Native Americans in the Arctic, the Inuit and the Aleut people who invented the kayak. And although my kayak is made of purple plastic, I think of those early boats which were built using wood or whale bones that were then wrapped in the skins of aquatic animals like seals to keep them waterproof. And I am grateful for that long, sleek design that has stayed exactly the same through hundreds, maybe thousands of years. It increases my gratitude to think of this history. And here's where I want to share with you another excerpt from the book Braiding Sweetgrass. In this chapter, Robin Wall Kimmerer is writing about making black ash baskets with master Potawatomi basket weaver John Pigeon. In the reading, you'll hear a reference to the sound that sounds kind of like dunk, dunk, dunk. And earlier in this chapter, it's been explained that this is the noise that John's axe makes on the log, the very first step in making the baskets. Robin says, "Today my house is full of baskets, and my favorite are pigeons." In other words, ones made by John. In them I can hear John's voice, can hear doink, 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 and smell the swamp. They remind me of the years of a tree's life that I hold in my hands. What would it be like, I wondered, to live with that heightened sensitivity to the lives given for ours? To consider the tree in the Kleenex, the algae in the toothpaste, the oaks in the floor, the grapes in the wine. To follow back the thread of life in everything and pay it respect. Once you start, it's hard to stop, and you begin to feel yourself awash in gifts. I open the cupboard, a likely place for gifts, Robin says. I think, I greet you, jar of jam, you glass who was once sand upon the beach, washed back and forth and bathed in foam and seagull cries, but who are formed into a glass until you once again return to the sea. And you, berries, plump in your Juneness, now in my February pantry. And you, sugar, so far from your Caribbean home, thank you for making the trip. In that awareness, Robin says, looking over the objects on my desk, the basket, the candle, the paper, I delight in following their origins back to the ground. I twirl a pencil, a magic wand lathed from incense cedar between my fingers. The willow bark in the aspirin, even the metal of my lamp, asks me to consider its roots in the strata of earth. But I notice, Robin says, that my eyes and thoughts passed quickly over the plastic on my desk. I hardly give the computer a second glance. I can muster no reflective moment for plastic. It's so far removed from the natural world. And I wonder if that's a place where the disconnection began, the loss of respect, when we could no longer easily see the life within the object. And yet I mean no disrespect, Robin says, for the diatoms and marine invertebrates who 200 million years ago lived well and then fell to the bottom of an ancient ocean, where under great pressure of a shifting earth they became oil that was pumped from the ground to a refinery, where it was broken down and then polymerized to make the case of my laptop or the cap of the aspirin bottle. But being mindful of the vast network of hyper-industrialized goods really gives me a headache. We aren't made for that sort of constant awareness. We've got work to do. But every once in a while, Robin says, with a basket in hand, or a peach, or a pencil, there is that moment when the mind and spirit open to all the connections, to all the lives, and our responsibility to use them well. And just in that moment, I can hear John Pigeon say, "Slow down. It's 30 years of a tree's life you've got in your hands there. Don't you owe it a few minutes to think about what you'll do with it?" This goes so completely against our fast food, throwaway, one-time use, disposable culture. And yet it's getting back to this native wisdom of honoring the earth and its gifts that is going to guide us in managing climate change. Because we certainly can't continue the way we're going, can we? These last 2 hurricanes have been simply horrific. And I really do hope that along with all of the tragedy and the heartbreaking loss, there is something good which can come of it, which is that people are talking more about climate change. And the urgency of it is being felt right now by so many people, not just the tree-hugging uber liberals who work for the EPA. We have to slow down. We have to pay homage to the natural resources we're using up. We have to change our patterns of mindless consumerism. A friend of mine down in South Carolina, whose family was without power for over a week after Hurricane Helene, says that her children now see running water as a gift. And they are looking into solarizing their entire farm now. She posted a video talking about how can she hang on to the urgency of that hurricane experience, that no lights, no running water experience, to make changes in her own life. She doesn't want to be led by fear, but she doesn't want to sink back into all her old comfortable habits either. Her consumer patterns were totally changed for that week and a half. And although she is so grateful to have the lights back on, she wants to make some of those changes permanent. Now, I know that my consumer weakness is plastic. How much plastic I consume. I mean, I don't eat it. I just buy it, throw it away, recycle it. What I am especially guilty of is forgetting to bring my own lunch to work. And so at least once a week, I buy my lunch out. And instead of sitting down and taking the time to eat it at the place that made it, I get it to go, which means that my lunch comes wrapped in plastic. I'm telling you out loud, like my friend who made the video, so that I can do better. And maybe you have the same challenge as me, or maybe you have a different one. We are all so steeped in this consumer culture. We are socialized to acquire lots of things. And sometimes our problem is that we see things as disposable. And sometimes maybe our challenge is that we are so attached to things. I know that a lot of you have had to downsize in your later years of life or are facing that challenge now. And it's so hard to let go of things that have been acquired over a lifetime. They hold such meaning and such memories. I feel like Indigenous Peoples Day has some guidance to offer us around that challenge as well. Do you know the term Indian giver? I grew up hearing that. I grew up not realizing how hurtful it was. But I also grew up not realizing how the term completely misunderstood the cultures for which it was named. Robin explains this in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, too. She says the expression Indian giver, used negatively today as a pejorative for someone who gives something and then wants to have it back, actually derives from a fascinating cross-cultural misinterpretation between an indigenous culture operating in a gift economy and a colonial culture predicated on the concept of private property. When gifts were given to the settlers by the native inhabitants, the recipients understood that they were valuable and intended to be retained. Giving them away would have been an affront. But the indigenous people understood the value of the gift to be based on reciprocity and would be affronted if the gifts did not circulate back to them. Many of our ancient teachings, Robin says, counsel that whatever we have been given is supposed to be given away again. This is the fundamental nature of gifts, she says. They move, and their value increases with their passage. So if you have been hanging on to some treasures, prizing them as gifts that were given to you, and feeling the loss that would be involved in giving them up, I wonder if there would be some joy to be found in passing them on, in recognizing the native wisdom that the fundamental nature of gifts is that they move and that their value increases with their passage. So these are just a few of the things that I've been mulling over this week. Obviously, I highly recommend the book, Braiding Sweetgrass. And in the coming week, I invite you to look with new eyes at your environment and the gifts that you might find there. Can we deepen our gratitude, even without a hurricane, for the things that make our life sweet? Can we honor the contributions of people and plants and lives that have been given for the objects that we've come to rely on in our days? Can we honor the gifts that come from this earth by shifting our reliance on them to more sustainable patterns? Can we feel the joy in passing a gift on after it has been given to us? I leave you with these questions to dwell on as we sing our closing hymn together. Number 128, For All That Is Our Life. That's number 128 in the gray hymnals, For All That Is Our Life. Please rise as you are able. You may be seated.
It has become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at coffee hour today or with friends during the week. As Rev Kate mentioned earlier, there is no online coffee hour discussion this week. This will resume again next week. But our question this week is, Robin Wall Kimmerer asks us to open our eyes to the gifts around us, and she instructs us to start in our pantries, which she calls a likely place for gifts. Where else are you finding gifts this week? I'm going to repeat this. So Robin asks us to open our eyes to the gifts around us, and she instructs us to start in our pantries, which she calls a likely place for gifts. Where else are you finding gifts this week?
I'll close with these words by Adam Slate. We end our gathering with gratitude for camaraderie, shared wisdom, goodwill, and support that we extend to each other within this community. May we continue to bless each other with these gifts, and may we reflect those blessings back out into the world as we minister to those around us. Happy Women's Week. Go in peace.